we've talked about a lot of different topics today so far, but Sean, let's revisit the subject of freedom of speech, because I think it's so interesting, the conversation that we had at the beginning of the show, and it's really something that needs to be had right now, is so many people, definitely on the right, are trying to be hushed and shut up, and this idea that we don't want diversity of thought is becoming more and more pervasive, and it's kind of scary to think that the left is just getting louder and louder and louder and claiming that you have to give allegiance to their ideas, otherwise that you hate their cause or you hate Black lives, which is insane.
Well, yeah, and you know, we touched on this earlier, but it's definitely changed from a system where we wanted to foster that discussion to now to shut it down. They always talk about the left being the tolerant and inclusion people, but that's clearly not the case. They're tolerant if you agree with them. They're inclusive as long as you are part of them. But anyone who doesn't agree with their thing, they immediately attack and shut down. I thought Alice had a good point, which is, I don't want the government to intervene on this, but at the same time, when you have the sort of domination of corporate and tech and the media all basically joining in on that and skewing what people see and not see and coming down on one side. And I think we just talked about this last segment. These journalists are now making it very clear where they come down, and they're shutting out anybody who has an alternative point of view, and not just shutting them out, but then shaming them. And that's where the problem is. Yeah,
and we saw that with Senator Tom Cotton as well, not to go all the way back to that. But I think it's really concerning when you can't have a diversity of thought, because ultimately that makes you stop learning from each other. And that's how we grow stronger, is to share our ideas. I mean, that's what the First Amendment's about, to protect those who might have a different idea. It doesn't mean that you all of a sudden that they're not a good person. And I think that's where we're at, is if you don't agree with me, now you're a terrible person, or you don't get it, or how, but isn't that the opposite? If you have a different view than somebody, you should be a bigger person, be able to walk away and say, yeah, I can disagree with you, and we can still be friends, but we're not there. It's about shutting each other up, and if you don't agree with me, then you're an idiot. Right. Where have we gone to be at that place? It's very saddening to me to feel that way and feel like you can't share your opinion, all of a sudden you're an idiot.
Well, it goes back to that Seinfeld episode that I was talking to Dave Rubin about, where you can't just be for what everyone's for, even if you agree with the cause. If you're not willing to do what they say what they say, then there's something wrong. So this is the issue. They've determined on the left what the issues are and what the solutions are, and it's so you can actually share in the concern. But if you don't agree with their solution and their talking points and their action, then you are bad. And that was, that whole Seinfeld thing that Dave pointed out in season 7 was supposed to be funny. The idea that you could agree with this movement but not want to wear a ribbon, and then it was hysterical. Now it's not hysterical. It's true. You literally are having people say that if you don't agree with us, we will shout you down. We will try to figure out how we can hurt you economically or otherwise, in some case physically. This is unbelievable. And these Sunday show hosts I was watching this weekend, all were talking about the fact that if you didn't come down where they believed, then you were intolerant, you were racist, all of these things that were bad because you didn't agree with where they, who are all high and mighty and elitist, come down. This is the antithesis of what the First Amendment was supposed to be about, this amendment that they all champion. It's going in a very bad direction.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think you're right. The ribbon thing is such a good example, because he's marching with them, but there's the ribbon. But it's the same thing here. We can all get on board with Black Lives Matter, and it's important that we need reform. But now it's like, okay, we're going to raise the bar one more and say, if you don't agree with defunding the police now, then you don't care about Black lives. If you don't get on board with that, I mean, that is shameful in itself. They just keep raising the bar. If you don't believe this thing, this thing. And so we have to stop this narrative. If you don't agree with me completely and give full allegiance to whatever I say, then you don't care at all.
Right. You can have a different solution, or you could actually just oppose everything and say, I don't share that. If you don't agree on either, though, that's where the attacks start coming, and they will make it personal and painful. And that's where we have a big problem. And the media is never going to share that with us.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll have to continue this conversation. Coming up, a woman who overcame abuse in the foster care system and poverty and homelessness as well. She'll share her inspiring story next.